How's it going, guys? It's Patel here with my review of Apple's response to the market for smaller smartphones, the iPhone SE. Let's see if the SE is indeed, as Apple claims, a big step for small. Starting off with the design, there isn't anything really new here. From the outside, it's still the same shell as the iPhone 5 and 5S. We have the squared off block with the rounded corners, which is still by far one of my favorite designs of all time, especially with the two-tone glass and metal design. On the left side of the SE, we have our silent mode switch along with the volume rockers, which have a solid build and are satisfyingly tactile. On the right, we have the SIM card slot, and yes, the SE does require a nano SIM. Up top, we have a hint at the old school Apple design with the power button up here instead of on the side as with the newer models. On the bottom, we have our 3.5mm headphone jack, the main microphone, the lightning port, and the bottom firing speaker. Up top on the back, we have the new 12-megapixel iSight camera, which is pretty much identical to the one in the 6S, with a few tweaks and without optical image stabilization. We also have another microphone and the dual-tone LED flash. I'll talk more about the camera and my experience using it on the SE in particular later on. Flipping it around to the front, we have up top the staggeringly low resolution 1.2 megapixel front-facing camera, the earpiece, and an ambient light sensor. In the center, we have the 4-inch Retina display, which is definitely showing its age, sporting a resolution of 1136 by 640 pixels. On the bottom, we have the home button with Touch ID 1.0 baked in. Moving on to the actual hardware inside, the phone itself is powered by Apple's latest A9 chip, alongside 2GB of RAM for your multitasking needs. And packing all the juice is a 1642 mAh battery. The phone comes with two storage options of either 16 or 64GB, and all of this comes wrapped up in a package that stands 4.9 inches tall and sits 2.3 inches across. The experience overall for me has consisted of mixed feelings. First and foremost, the size itself was something I had to get used to, having used a Note 4 and Note 5 as my daily drivers for the past 2 years, so moving down from a 5.7 inch screen to the SE definitely took me some time to get used to, and it will definitely take you some time too if you're moving down. Once I did get comfortable with the size, however, I love the design a lot. The fact that it fits completely in my hand, and that I could do literally everything with one hand, or more specifically, with one thumb, was just so much more natural. Sliding it in and out of my pockets was a breeze, and again, the form factor just felt more natural once in my pocket. My experience system-wide was an absolute breeze. The A9 chip blew through every task I threw at the phone and handled gaming like a champ thanks to the beastly GPU powering the 640p display. The one aspect that did seem a little slow, however, was Touch ID. Having used Touch ID 2.0 on the iPhone 6S, and the faster Android fingerprint scanners out there, I was kind of bummed when Apple decided to use Touch ID 1.0 for the iPhone SE, and if you've used a top tier smartphone from any manufacturer lately, you'll definitely notice that the SE is a bit slow compared to the competition. That being said, however, it is still relatively fast in terms of scanning your fingerprint if you're using the technology for the first time. Listening to music on the SE was easy, and the sound quality was definitely up there with the other flagships. The speakers surprised me the most given the phone's size and the fact that it's a bottom firing unit. It was surprisingly loud, rich, and punchy, not to mention it was extremely good when it came to the bass. Media consumption via video, however, was a whole different story. The weakest link in this entire package, I feel, is the display. Having used Quad HD displays to consume my media for the past 2 years, I have gotten used to the high quality visuals and crisp reproduction of images on screen. Given the fact that the iPhone SE has a 4-inch 640p display, which I should mention isn't even HD quality, consuming media was not pleasant at all, and I was constantly reminded by the low resolution of the display whenever I watched a video on the SE. The pixels are clearly visible most of the time, making for a not so pleasant media consumption experience. That being said, the screen was perfectly fine for doing productive tasks like reading and sending emails, texting, calling, and quickly catching up on the news or browsing the web. I found myself a lot more productive with the iPhone SE due to the form factor and the screen resolution. Moving on to something iPhones have always been known for, let's take a look at the cameras. On the rear, we have the 12 megapixel iSight camera, which is similar to that of the iPhone 6s without optical image stabilization, and yes, this one is capable of 4K video recording. It's an f2.2 aperture sensor with a 1.22 micron pixel size. The quality is just as good as you can expect from pretty much the 6s. The SE takes stunning pictures all around with a rear-facing camera, but again, the experience was middled by the low-resolution screen. I'll tell you why. Shooting pictures and video at higher resolutions, I found that the screen became blurred at times and the screen would become highly pixelated as it tried to reproduce the high resolution being captured by the sensor on the back on the screen itself. This actually disturbed me a lot. Apple gave the iPhone SE a stunner of a camera, but the screen, which works as the viewfinder as in any smartphone, was a complete disappointment. Speaking of disappointment, selfie takers won't be very happy with the meager 1.2 megapixel f2.4 aperture camera up front either. Now, you can only use the device as long as it has a charge, and the SE does a great job in the battery department. I was able to get around 4 hours of screen on time consistently and never had to plug it in before I went to bed. By the time I did go to bed, I usually ended with around 20% charge left in the bank, which is quite stellar considering the size of the phone and its battery. Overall, I'm pretty impressed with the iPhone SE. It's a small phone which boosted my productivity, designed in a reminiscent package which is still one of the best designs in my book, packs internals just as powerful as flagship phones, and delivers a smooth iOS experience which doesn't drain the juice by the end of the day. If there is one thing that would keep me from using this as my daily driver, however, it would definitely be the screen. If you're someone who likes to consume a lot of media on their phone, I would look somewhere else. But if you're just getting into the smartphone game or need something small enough to handle basic needs and business tasks like sending emails, texting, calling, and taking pictures, the iPhone SE is definitely something you want to look into. I hope to see some internal improvements with the next generation SE, and I'm hoping that Apple updates the screen resolution to get with the times, and also the resolution on that front-facing camera. Other than that, at the unlocked price of $400 for 16 gigs, it's not bad at all considering what you get. That's all for this one, guys. To stay updated with the channel, be sure to subscribe and follow me on the social platforms listed in the description down below. I'm Patel, thank you for watching, and I'm out.